Hello, friends. This is Scott Monty. Stand by for commentary.
Welcome to the Full Monty, where you'll be exposed to commentary and analysis from the week's digital news. You give us 15 minutes, and we'll save you hours. And now, here's your host, Scott Monty.
Hi, and welcome to the Full Monty, an audio companion to the newsletter of the same name. Each week, I pick a couple of the more pressing issues and inject insight, opinion, and wit into this 15-minute show that's sure to give you a better sense of what's affecting the industry. Maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't, but I hope it makes you think. This week, law and disorder, and Facebook needs humans. Law and disorder. The internet has been around for 2.5 decades. Mid-August 2016 marked 25 years since Tim Berners-Lee, now Sir Tim, if you please, invented the World Wide Web. Sorry to disappoint all of you Al Gore fans out there. In the last 25 years, we've seen a remarkable growth and development of networking, artificial intelligence, creative output, and human development. It's given us things like universal search, e-commerce, instant video conferencing around the world, and it's connected people and ideas like never before. It would seem as if the internet at this point would be a mature space, which has developed a universal set of standards and guidelines. And in many cases, this is absolutely true. But in other cases, it's still the Wild West out there. Take photos, for example. Do you think it's okay to just grab an image from anywhere on the web and use it for your own purposes? That just because it's on the internet means that it's free to use? That's not the case at all. And yet, many people simply download or copy and paste simply because the technology gives them the freedom to do so. What about sharing images from the Olympics? The International Olympics Committee warned us about animated GIFs and video, and more than one individual saw their content automatically removed after the IOC's monitoring system flagged it on Twitter and took it down. One sports writer even had his account suspended as a result of sharing 3 GIFs of athletes in action. 3! For sharing content that was already widely available on television, but content that was only destined for television, something we covered in episode 6. And yet, trolls, stalkers, and other emotional abusers still roam free on Twitter. Where's the justice in that, I ask you? Turning to Instagram, the natural habitat of the Kardashiani flagrantes, we see the abuse of the system as a rule. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, has issued guidance for anyone who receives some kind of compensation from a brand, either in kind or cash sponsorships. Those on the receiving end must disclose the relationship as part of truth in advertising laws. And yet many, including the shameless Kardashians, completely ignore this. They habitually post photos on Instagram for brands for which they're doing business, and they don't include any kind of disclosure. The Kardashians were recently put on notice by Truth in Advertising, a consumer watchdog group that noted their habitually unethical and even illegal behavior. And they aren't the only ones, though. There's a legion of influencers out there trying to make a name for themselves, and a buck or two on the side, who fail to disclose their relationships with brands. As gurus who supposedly teach others how to benefit from personal branding, again, our rant on episode 6, You would think that they would know how to steer clear of unethical behavior. While the laws and regulations may not be entirely ironed out, even after 25 years in, there is such a thing as human decency. Each of us has the ability to distinguish right from wrong. Now it's time to apply that in practice.
Get your trivia skills ready for the naked truth.
This week's Naked Truth trivia question: what classic work of American fiction has been reimagined through a crowdsourced and crowd-funded effort? Answer at the end of the show. And now, page 2. Facebook needs humans. Have you noticed anything different about the trending section of Facebook? That is, if you even paid attention to the trending section in the first place. Back in May, we shared reports that Facebook was supposedly suppressing conservative news topics in the trending section. This was according to the team of quote-unquote news curators that Facebook hired to oversee this feature. The process gave them access to a set of topics that were generated via Facebook's algorithm, which determined which news stories would be shown to users in the trending section. The curators then wrote headlines and summaries of each topic with links to the news sites. Well, of course, as we also told you, Facebook denied that such activity was happening, at least not intentionally, and even hosted a number of prominent conservatives at its Palo Alto headquarters for an open discussion about its practices and how to improve. And later on, the company provided bias training to employees to ensure the fairness of the Facebook platform. But it was clear from the arrangement that the group was operating like something of a newsroom rather than as an agnostic machine. In fact, the New York Times even reported that, quote, most major social platforms have in recent years amassed editorial teams of their own, groups that select, tame, and fill gaps in the material produced by users and media companies, unquote. Well, all of that has come to an abrupt halt when Facebook suddenly fired all of its human editors. The team of news curators, as they were known internally, was contracted from a third party, and they were notified at 4 p.m. on Friday that Facebook no longer had use for their services. The new machine-based trending section? It debuted at 5 p.m. on Friday. Facebook says that the goal of this arrangement is, quote, to enable trending for as many people as possible, unquote, and that they should discover interesting and relevant conversations happening on Facebook. The company says that it would be unable to do this at scale by employing people, and thus has resorted to its algorithm to identify and share trending topics. This means that no two trending sections will be alike. What you see, what your coworkers see, what your family sees, what I see, this will all be personalized to our own interests and likings. While this might seem beneficial, moving toward an era of content personalization that many consumers have sought, it also seems a little unintuitive, so that stories that are truly trending may not even make it to our lists. And if you look at the way the trending section works with Facebook's artificial intelligence, you'll see that only the topic is identified by title. There's no news summary. There's no context around why it's trending. Only how many people are talking about it. One of the great values of curation is the ability to contextualize and analyze the news. It's something I do every week with my Full Monty newsletter. Without this, we're left with a trending section that's about as useful as the one that we see on Twitter. The world is moving to a point where machines will replace a number of human functions in the workplace, and quite soon. Think of it as the automation of everything. While the eventuality is virtually inevitable, that doesn't mean that it's easy for humans to hear or even experience firsthand. We just heard that Uber's goal of automating its fleet will make human drivers superfluous, which surprised some of the drivers. One lamented to a reporter, quote, "It feels like we're just rentals. We're kind of like placeholders until the technology comes out." End quote. Just because we're removing humans from business functions doesn't mean we have to be completely emotionless about it. Yes, the move may be necessary, but you could at least do it in a humane way.
Automation is predicted to stay. The future's already here today. There's one missing part. Machines can't learn heart, so emotions won't get in the way.
As a bonus, if you'd like an eerie object lesson in how this was predicted 55 years ago, watch the Twilight Zone episode, The Brain Center at Whipple's, from Season 5. There you'll see a heartless CEO who completely automates his factory and lays off almost all of his workers over the objections of his employees. For our trivia question, we asked you what American classic has been reimagined. Herman Melville's Moby Dick was crowdfunded and crowdsourced so that it could be completely rewritten in emoji. The result? Emoji Dick. Now available in soft and hardcover formats. If you like what you heard here, please consider becoming a patron and show your support at patreon.com/ScottMonty. And please leave a rating or review for us on iTunes. It would really help us out. Be sure to check out other major stories from the August 29th edition of the newsletter, including BuzzFeed is dividing its operations in two, BuzzFeed Entertainment Group and BuzzFeed News. The former will concentrate on the content that BuzzFeed has traditionally been known for, while the latter will bring together the health team, global news operations, and video news under one roof. The Federal Reserve Bank just launched its first Facebook page, to much derision. Is it too little, too late for this government agency? And Google is cracking down on sites that have interstitial ads, those pop-ups that are so annoying. If you still support this practice, your site ranking is about to drop. Well, that's it for this week. With any luck, your brain's a bit bigger now. Thank you for making me a part of your week and for being exposed to the Full Monty. Until next time, I'm Scott Monty, and I'll see you on the Internet.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the Full Monty newsletter and this program at fullmontyshow.com.
Call me Ishmael.